Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today I just wanted to do a quick book haul and announce my reading rush TBR, so let's get into it. Before I get into the other things I want to talk about in this video, I just wanted to say that I finished Wicked Fox and the ending was amazing. Like, I didn't see it coming and I'm like, oh, I should have seen that coming, but I'm not the greatest at predicting endings, which I kind of like because then it leaves the surprise. And even though I did accidentally spoil myself on Goodreads, it still like hit me like a ton of bricks what happened. Like the epilogue, what happened in the end there, like, what? Like, I kind of want the sequel, like, right now. Like, please give it to me. I can't exactly remember when it comes out, but I want it right now. I actually honestly might even pre-order it because it's just, I need it. Yeah, so I will definitely probably be giving this a 5 stars, 5 out of 5, just because it was honestly one of my favorite reads of this year. I flew through it and I enjoyed it so much, and every time I read it, it was amazing. So I'd like to start out this video talking about my most recent book haul, and these first 2 books I got when I went to my friend's cabin, and there was a little town nearby, so we went into town and went to a thrift store, and I was just looking at these 2 books and my friend was like, oh, you need to get those, and they are Tuesdays with Maury and For One More Day by Mitch Albom. I had read Mitch Albom's The 5 People You Meet in Heaven in about 9th grade, I believe, for school. And I ended up really enjoying it. Like, I read the entire thing in like 2 days, even though the whole class was reading it in a span of like a month. But it was a really nice story, and it's a really different kind of story, and it's something that I don't really read super often, but I really enjoyed it. So I figured I'd try out his other 2 books, and they were like $1 each, so how can you say no? Then the next 3 books that I got were from my library, because sometimes when my library is done using books, they'll sell them and get rid of them. And these were 50 cents each, so it was a steal of a deal. And these are actually my very first manga books. And this first one, obviously, is the first edition of Tokyo Ghoul, and I've actually read this like numerous times from the library, but it was 50 cents, and I love the storyline, I love these characters. So I'm like, hey, I want that for my collection, so I bought it. And honestly, I can flip to like any scene in here and know exactly what's going on just because I've read it so many times. I've watched the first season over and over and over again, and I just really love this story. And it was from middle school, so it's a really, really good heartfelt kind of series for me. The other 2 manga that I picked up were the first and the second installment of One Punch Man, and my friend has read almost all of these books, and I'd never read any of them. I honestly don't even know what it's about, but like I said, they were 50 cents each, and I really just want to grow my collection of books and make them more diverse and get myself into different genres, so I figured I'd pick these up. Okay, so the last set of books is kind of interesting how they came to be. I was on my way home from work and we were headed to the mall to go shopping because we needed to pick something up, and I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw Isabella's Throne of Pages. I saw her Instagram about this and I was like, hey, I want to read that. And that book is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and it's so beautiful. I have been wanting to read this book like since it came out. Penguin House is doing a read-along for this book through the entire month of July, and I'm not sure, but I think they might be doing a read-along for the 2nd and 3rd books as well before the 4th installment finally comes out. And I saw that she was doing it and I was like, hey, I want to hop on that train. So I went and I bought it like 20 minutes before Barnes & Noble closed. Please help my bank account. This cover, like, one, the cover is stunning, like, beautiful, and 2, need I say more? It's amazing. I love, like, I honestly prefer hardcovers, but that's because most soft covers aren't like this. But when soft covers are like this and they're completely floppy, this is my favorite kind of cover. And I genuinely really do not know anything about this, except I've heard that there's like a raid on some type of military school, and that's all I know, and that's honestly all I need to know, because I think I'm gonna love it either way. And I don't know if this is true or not, but so this is the author, right? And this is the, is that the author, like, on the cover portraying the main character? Because if so, that's kind of badass. Like, I'm normally not a huge fan of books that have, like, people on the covers, but my one exception is, like, this one. Yes, I'm really excited to be joining in this read-along, and I can't wait to see where it takes me. The other two books that I picked up while I was at Barnes & Noble were The Diabolic and The Empress by S.J. Kincaid. And I've actually already read The Diabolic. I listened to it as an audiobook with like 2 or 3 days, and it was a 13-hour audiobook. But I flew through it. It was amazing. And I needed the sequel right away, but they didn't have the audiobook on Libby, and that disappointed me. So when I was in Barnes & Noble and I saw these two bad boys sitting on the shelf, I could not say no. So I bought them. And actually, The Diabolic, I am not going to keep this copy. This is for my friend because it is her birthday soon, so I figured if I loved it so much, I wanted to share it with her, so I'm giving this away to her. So I really hope she reads it and she enjoys it and loves it a lot. If you don't know anything about The Diabolic, it is basically diabolics are these creatures that are made, they look like humans, but they're creatures, and they're made to protect the person that they're made for. And so the diabolic nemesis is made to protect this girl Sidonia. It takes place in space, and when Sidonia is being forced to be sent to like kind of the main space hub, I can't necessarily remember what it's called, but like the biggest kingdom that kind of rules over all the other kingdoms, Nemesis goes in her place instead of Sidonia in order to protect her. And a lot happens. There's a lot of betrayal, there's a lot of unexpected plot twists, and I would recommend this to literally anyone because it's insanely good. I cannot wait to get my hands on this sequel and just devour it because it is gonna be so good. Okay, and that includes my book haul for this video. Now on to my Reading Rush TBR. So I am beyond ecstatic to announce that I will be joining the July 2020 Reading Rush. This is my first ever kind of like read-along, read-a-thon, like anything like that. I've never done it before, and so I'm just very, very excited to see where this takes me and see who I meet along the way and how many books I can read in the span of a week. This is my anticipated TBR. So the first reading challenge is to read a book that matches the color of your birthstone. And I am born in January, and that means that my birthstone is a garnet, which is normally a very deep red. I am going to be reading Muse of Nightmares by Lonnie Taylor, and this is the second book in the Strange the Dreamer duology, and I love Strange the Dreamer. It just transports you into this other magical world, and it's so amazing. And I cannot wait to jump back into the world of Laszlo and Sari and all the gods, and everything is just so amazing about these books, and I cannot wait to read this. So the next prompt is to read a book that starts with the word the. And for this, I will be reading The Empress by S.J. Kincaid, even though, yes, I just bought it. I want to read it that badly. And it's like the chapters in these books are very short, and the last one I inhaled so quickly that I think that this would be a really easy book for me to read during a reading rush because I think that I would inhale it. So I'm very, very excited to read this. So the next prompt is to read a book inspired by a movie that you've already seen. And the only book on my shelves that fits this category is Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. And I don't know how I haven't read this, but I watched the movie like way back when it came out, and I finally found this at a thrift store a couple of months ago, and I figured, why not? It's short, it's probably gonna be really sweet, but also not necessarily sweet because I guess the girl dies, but like, it's the dying girl. I mean, what more do you expect? So yes, I hope that I can get through this book during the reading rush. And the next category is to read the first book you touch, but I'm going to skip over for that one for now, and I'm going to jump into the next topic because I have something special planned for that. So for the next one, read a book completely outside your house. And I'm going to read Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom because this one is very small, and as much as I enjoy reading outside, I can only read outside when there's shade, and the only places in my yard that have lots of shade are way back in my backyard, and there's tons of mosquitoes there, and I just cannot stand being eaten by mosquitoes. I'm hoping I can read this outside without suffering too much, but I've heard it's a really kind of feel-good story, but it also gets a little bit sad, so I'm just hoping I can enjoy this book without being eaten alive too much. So so the next challenge is to read a book in a genre you've always wanted to read more of. And for this is, I mean, it's still a book, but it's kind of cheating. This is The One Punch Man, book 1 and 2, and that's because the category of book that I've always wanted to read more of is manga, because I've only read like 3 mangas maybe in my entire life. I really just want to get into them, and I know it's only supposed to be 1 book, but I figured these are so short that I should just do 2 instead. So I'll be reading One Punch Man, book 1 and 2. So then the final challenge is to read a book that takes place on a different continent than from where you live. And for that I will be reading Persepolis by Marjane Starapi. I am so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. All I know about this book is that it is a graphic novel about a girl growing up in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. And that itself just sounds incredibly interesting and intriguing. And yes, it is a graphic novel, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but there's quite a few words to it. And honestly, if I can even get to this book, that will be a lot of reading for me in 1 week. So I'm still hoping that I can power through it. So then, going back to the category that I skipped over, this one is read the first book you touch. And obviously I can't really go around on my shelves being like, I'll read this book, because I know where my books are. And since I know where my books are, I feel like I would pick them with bias, because I'd be like, oh, I want to read this book, I know where it is, let me grab it. So what I will be doing is I will be setting out a couple of books that I've been wanting to read for a while. And they're either all first books in a series or they're standalones that I haven't read yet. I put them all out on a shelf, and my brother is going to come rearrange them while I blindfold myself, so then I can just pick, and the first book I grab is the one that I will be reading. So let's see what happens. Okay, so I am blindfolded and my brother has rearranged the books, so I'm going to pick a random book, and that will be the book that I read for the reading rush. This one. What did I pick? Oh! Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I read Carry On before I read Fangirl, and I loved Carry On. I used to be obsessed with it, and I guess now I'll get to read Fangirl and see what happens. Okay, and that will be my final TBR for the 2020 July reading rush, and I am so excited to read these. These are all sound like amazing books, and I cannot wait to get started. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very, very much for supporting my channel, and I cannot wait to make more videos in the future. Okay, well, have a good day, and I will see you next time. Bye!